Survivor's ready.
If anybody has a hidden immunity idol and you want to play it, now would be the time to do so.
The queen stays queen.
You said Russell Feathers.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to talk glamoury. We have ripe bananas all the time.
Dude, my prize isn't even $1 million. My prize was that I fell in love in this game. Love at first sight. Her name is Candace.
You officially go down as the dumbest survivor ever.
Welcome to Not Game, All Personal. Hey, we are a Survivor podcast here to talk about all things Survivor, more specifically the events of this past week. I'm Nathan, this is Tony. Tony, we have earned the merge. How you doing?
It feels fully earned. It feels so earned that it's almost like they split into two tribes again and had two separate tribal councils. It's a weird thing.
Well, I think it's like we are so merged that we don't even need to vote together because we're so confident in our merge. You know what I mean? Like we could,
Yeah.
but like you know, should we just get the complaints out of the way
But
now?
I'm doing well. I guess I didn't answer that question. I'm doing well. How are you, Nathan?
Oh, I'm frustrated. I'll be honest.
Brokenhearted?
For so many reasons. So many reasons. Yes, okay, another one of my draft picks went home. That's like the least of my concerns.
Okay.
Number 3. Number 2 concern is that I still think the Swiss is stupid, which I understand. I got to stop ranting about these things, but I just hate it. Number 1 concern, just a waste of an episode, and so many things that I felt we were promised the first half of this season are now gone. In that the two people that went home, what was the point of any of their buildup? And not even like their buildup. I get this isn't the complete fault of the producers of the show, because they were the ones that went to tribal council, but there are so many people in this game now there I don't really know much about, because we spent so much time with two people that are now just not in the game, and it just feels like such a waste. So many tribal councils that are just like for nothing. And so that is my number one frustration coming into tonight, if you were looking for that as an answer.
Hey, I think that's a fair frustration. I think I'm still in a place where I almost care so little about this season that it's not making me angry.
Sure.
It's a weird place to be. Like, I don't think I processed that until this moment. I actually watched the entire episode today, and then I realized that I barely paid attention to the like scheming and planning after the immunity challenge. I had to go back and watch it again because I was like, I didn't get any of this, because I just like, I don't know, it's not grabbing my attention as much as past season for sure.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of very interesting players left. I do think that. But yeah, overall, this season's just not quite doing it for me, I guess.
Well, I think there are interesting players on the cast, but I think it's just falling into the trap that every single season in the new era falls into, where it takes so long until we can actually see gameplay. Because, like, I mean, we'll obviously get into the details of the gameplay in this episode, but I don't know if there really was, because once again, we're forced to do this twist that prevents possible gameplay from happening because you are separating people that could be working together. And it's not like the people on these two individual teams are going to be solidifying future alliances necessarily, because they just want to get to next week so they can meet up with their buddies again. So, like, obviously there was the potential for like big moves to happen. There was the potential to like solidify like future alliances, but I don't know. I just think the way that this format is set up, players just aren't going to do that until the next week, which leaves half of the season of them just waiting to get to that point.
This episode is just survival mode and just hoping that you are close enough to people that they're going to let you sneak through, essentially. Like, for example, Shaheen this episode, where like a couple of them were like, wait, we could just take out Shaheen. It was just him betting on being lucky enough that they didn't decide to go that direction. You know what I mean? Like, it adds, in a game that already has so much luck, especially when it comes to tribe swaps, adding another layer of like, man, you just gotta hope you're lucky enough to be in the right grouping. Even last week, you have to hope that you're lucky enough to be in the grouping to go for individual immunity, and then this week you have to hope that you're lucky enough to be in a situation where you can survive because you're both going to tribal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and that's all it is. And there was practically no tension going into the both tribals because
Mm-hmm.
there was a clear bottom, and as much as they tried to like tease us with, oh, but maybe like a flip could happen, maybe this, it just wouldn't make sense for anyone. It really wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
It makes
Mhm.
zero sense for 5 people that don't like Say to bring her on the jury. It makes
Yeah.
zero sense for 5 people to include Cedric in their plans when none of them have worked with him or been on trial with him before. So
Mm-hmm.
there's just no drama, and I think everyone who voted tonight made the correct move. I just hate it because it feels like the move was extra correct because of the split, you know? If they would
Yeah.
have had to decide between Say and Cedric, that would have been more exciting. If I don't know, if Say and Cedric had the ability to even communicate or like try to pull something, there's just so many better ways this could have gone. And like the beginning of the episode, like I thought it was kind of funny how like Say was just like, "Oh yeah, I voted for Cedric just because like I wanted to make him sweat a little bit," right? Like I'm like, "Oh, that's
Mhm.
we don't see that a lot." And then of course it leads to nothing. There's no reveal. There's not.
Mhm.
He's just like, "Nope, that's it." So I don't know. That's just. I don't think there's any way around it. And if the longer they keep doing this, I think we're gonna, or at least I'm gonna feel very similar every time this episode rolls around.
Yeah, like you said, like it's not. I don't even know if it's like a producer issue. It's a structure of the game issue, and I think that's kind of what you were saying with like you have to edit it. You have to like show this rivalry or this issue between Say and Mary, and then like the Say and Cedric stuff. Like that's the primary story because they're the only ones that went to tribal the first few times, so that
Mhm.
has to be front and center. And then it just sucks that they're going to be the people who end up reaching this episode and being the easy votes because there's no one left on their tribe and they're already actively going against each other and don't really have action. And so, yeah, I feel like they built up this tension between them, but like, what are they supposed to do? Um, and that's just kind of the reality of it with some people where like you feel like they're building to something and then it just, nope, nothing. Everything's gone. They're just voted out because bad luck. That's how it goes sometimes, but when two happen at the same time, it's pretty unsatisfying.
Oh, it's very unsatisfying, and that's probably part of it too. Maybe like the extra frustration with this season, where if there are 2 people going home, maybe at least one of them is exciting, and so to have just like the double whammy
Mhm.
of like boring, oh, even more boring, it's just like like
Mhm.
Say for me was like disappointing because I'm like, she was like such a fun villain, like there's potential with that, and then I'm sad that she's gone, and then when Cedric goes, I'm just like, I'm bored. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
I didn't like Cedric to begin with, but voting him out now is just so boring. So it's just I don't know. There's no better way to spin it. Yeah, but okay. I think I got that. That was helpful for me. I appreciate you hearing me out there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. My nephew did say, second shout out Trent. He did say that he's sick of listening to you complain about Mergatory. When you talk.
I'm sick of it too. And in my defense, you started it last week, okay? So Trent, just
I did.
hold back. Tony jumped on my side and got me revved up. But that's it. That's it.
I did do that.
All right. Well,
You know what I survived this week?
what
Or
you
what I
said-
not what I survived, what I learned about Survivor for this week.
What's that?
Sorry, that went downhill quick. Ava went to high school 6 miles from where I live.
Oh, really? I mean, I knew she.
Yeah, she
was
went to high school
from
in
there.
Egan.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I was talking about he's there's the autistic girl in the new season. I was like, that's nice. He's like, she went to the same high school as me. Yeah, she went to Egan High School. I just thought that was wild.
That's
even
so
says like Rhode Island because I think that's where she's going to school now. But yeah, she's from Egan.
yeah. Well, I did know she was from Minnesota because they mentioned this episode when I think Chrissy said something about Lake Michigan, and Eva said
Yeah.
Minnesota. She goes, "Oh, so close."
Yeah,
Which
she
is
did do
not.
that.
Yeah, people that Oh, never mind. I was gonna say people that aren't from the Midwest get confused, but Chrissy's from Chicago, so that's okay, Chrissy. I don't know what you're thinking.
She was just trying to be like, yeah, I know people. Look at me, I'm good at social stuff, and just so bad.
Just
didn't
outs
even look.
herself completely. Um,
It's why
yeah.
this is a stupid thing, and we can move as quickly as we want after I say it. Like the Midwest just makes so much sense, and knowing every state name, just because like I grew up in the Midwest. But then talking to somebody who's not from the Midwest, and they're like, "Oh, what's this state?" and it's just a picture of Wisconsin, and it's so clearly Wisconsin to me, and they don't know that. It blows my mind.
I also feel that, but I feel that on a larger scale because I really enjoy geography, and so like I can point out all the
Mhm.
states, and I'm baffled when people can't, and I'm learning that's just not a universal thing. You know, like if you show me the shape of any state right now, I could tell you what it is, but
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just a me
One
thing.
of it.
I literally could if I like I'm not even kidding right now. I've
But
I've
then
done
that's
the
how
Sporkle
like
quizzes.
yeah, that's how like somebody who grows up in Europe just like knows every country in Europe and where they all are because like it's so easy to travel in the EU and like that's just the world and it's about the same size as the US. But like how well they know that is how well we know the states, I feel like. And it just fascinates me. Anyways, we should probably talk about Survivor on this Survivor podcast.
Let's talk about Fiji. Could you name all the islands?
Fiji.
Yep, that's the only
Siva
one there
Beach.
is. Do we just talk team by team here, or like, I don't know. Was there anything besides the say voting for Cedric post vote from last week that's worth discussing? I guess Mitch had a pretty big storyline, being blindsided with Charity going home. That's kind of interesting, I guess.
I think just off that, I mean, yeah, it was kind of interesting, and I don't know how much there's to say about it overall. But somebody being like, "Hey, I was told not to tell you because you were so close to her." Like somebody, I think it was it Shaheen that said that to him, where he was like, "Hey, man, I wanted to tell you, I was told not to because you're close to her." So like, sorry, like, I don't know if I've seen people be that blunt about like why they didn't say it or pass the buck in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm still have like so many questions about last week's vote because the way that it was at least presented in this episode was that Mitch was like the only one blindsided other than Cedric with his single vote, and Mitch wasn't the only one that voted for Say. So then I have to assume by that the people that voted for Say knew that it wasn't going to be Say, and that was like the plan. But then Say made a comment that kind of confused me because when she was talking to Cedric, and Cedric's like, I don't know who voted for me, blah, 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 blah. And Say said, well, I know where all my 5 votes came from, which to me led to an assumption that like she knew that there was like 5 people wanting her out. So I don't know why she would know that. I don't know. So like I feel like I got no clarity on the vote last week, and I'm just going to be frustrated throughout the rest of the season. Need to let it go because any way I look at it, these numbers do not match up with like who voted for who.
I mean, I could genuinely say just not actually knowing who and thinking that she does because
that's got to be it.
She's pretty confident in herself, honestly. Yeah, it looks like it's just a planned vote split, but it's just you can't tell why each person voted for each person. Like there's no rhyme or reason for it that I can see, and so it's just very, very confusing why people voted the direction that they did. But it had to have been a planned vote split that we just didn't get to see.
Yeah, because I would just assume, like, if it was more than Mitch being blindsided, we would have at least heard from that. Or I would hope so. I will be very frustrated if that's not the case. but yeah, I mean, basically, Mitch was like the one, seemingly the only one that didn't know Charity was going home, and he was sad. Which I don't know. I'm so torn on how I'm supposed to feel about Mitch because I feel like it goes back and forth. Where it's like, is he getting this edit just because he's got the story to back it up, and he's good at challenges, has a good social game. So like, do they just like really want to give him
Mhm.
some airtime? But then you got these confessionals like Joe just actually painting him as a threat to win the game. So I'm like, is that how I'm supposed to view him right now? Like, is he
Yeah.
in reality a front runner that could be either winner material or final boss material or so? So like, I just really have no read on Mitch.
Mhm.
And after last night, I'm like, oh man, am I misreading it? And he could just go all the way with it. Like, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I feel like I get that same vibe too, and I wonder how much of last night, because he has the story and everything. I wonder how much last night was like his legitimate threat level and legitimately where people stand with him, or them just trying to prop up another option for that tribe. Sometimes it's hard to see which is which, and
Yeah.
so I think seeing a future episode where he's not necessarily a main target, if he's still being considered this big threat or being talked about as this big threat, I think that'll be interesting. And same for Shaheen, where we had a couple people talk about like, oh, he could be an issue, but he was also just meant to be the other option, and
Mm-hmm.
did not end up being that option.
Yeah, no, I think you're right there. I do feel like, and I don't know why, and maybe we'll get to it when we talk about more with Shaheem, but like I feel like in my mind, I did view Shaheem more as like hyping up for a possible blindside, like in the next few
Hmm.
weeks, as opposed to Mitch, where that didn't really feel like the case. But maybe it was just simply because of their placement, right? Because Mitch is already
Yeah.
aware that he's on the bottom, so it wouldn't be a giant blindside. Where like Shaheem feels like he's in. In fact, like he had several
Hmm.
confessionals this episode of like, I'm in the middle. Everyone needs to run through me if they want to do anything. And so I think because of that, I think that's what kind of sussed me out. Like, oh, I don't know if he's gonna last, more than a couple weeks here, but I could be wrong. Like they could be the exact same edit for the sake of this episode alone, and then by next week, both of them are fine again.
Yeah. Some of their concerns for him felt more like I was more bought into that possibility, Shaheen being a possibility, than it was Mitch. So I feel what you're saying with that. But I don't want to believe it because I'm rooting for him. I think that's where I come down on that. Speaking of just like some of the things that they said, one thing that I for sure wanted to mention, is this the same tribal? I can't even remember. I can't even remember what the split was, but this occurred to me, so I'm going to talk
um,
about it right now.
yeah, I'll get the split if you want to start doing something.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Chrissy during tribal just feels like she said way too much when she was talking about like, yeah, you need like, I'm gonna lie, I'm gonna like backstab, I'm gonna do all this stuff because I'm not a big physical threat. I'm not gonna do it yet, but I'm gonna do it. Was an odd choice to lead with in tribal council.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't really get a read because, like, there is part of me that's like, that could have been just uh, all smoke and mirrors, And if like,
Mm-hmm.
because I think like Joe and Ava were kind of the ones that are like, what is she saying? Like, is she coming after
Mm-hmm.
us? Like, is that what she's talking about? So like, if they are all in on it to blindside Say, that could have just been the plan. Um,
Yeah.
but if it wasn't, yes, like it was just the most like outlandish like layout of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think especially in a season like this where you do have like all the big threats actually teaming up and working together, at least for the
Mm-hmm.
time being, like the things Chrissy was saying were like correct, in that,
Yeah.
she's like, hey, like we do need to get someone out now, otherwise, like, we're not gonna have many more chances. Um, so I don't know. I'm very curious to see how that actually landed with some of them and their like response or reaction to her because not a great look. I'll say that.
She's
I
not
wasn't a fan.
incorrect. Yeah. She's not incorrect. There's just things you don't say out loud. And I think there's certain players that Jeff is able to I don't know if they're so excited to be there, they're so starstruck that they're there, that they just say too much. And you have to be kind of guarded at tribal because everybody's paying attention, and one slip up, one thing could like send up red flags for somebody, and you could be out next. And that's what it felt like that was for Chrissy. Unless everybody's in on it and knows that you're gonna like make this big speech, like you said. Yeah, I heard it both times. Like the first time I watched through, and then the second time I was like, golly, this is bad. The second time it just stood out to me so much.
No, like when she was talking, I still kind of figured Say was going, but like it was just so chaotic. I was like, I honestly don't know. Like, is she trying to vote out Joe? Joe has immunity. Does she know that? Did
Does
people
she
forget to
know
tell
that?
her? Like that's what's running
Yeah,
through my
yeah.
mind.
Yep, for sure.
The funny thing is though, like I will give her credit because Say did have a confessional where she was what did she say? Something about like she went to tribal with Chrissy before, and so she like trusts Chrissy's word, as opposed to like other people. So like when Chrissy says something, and so like Chrissy was able to fool her in that sense of like giving her security
hmm
because for whatever reason Say thought she had her pegged of like, okay, you are a loyal player, you are this type of
hmm
player, and Chrissy ended up not being, at least for this tribal. So kudos to her because I think that kind of did seal Say's confidence. Again, not that Say could have done much more than what she did, um,
hmm
but she definitely trusted her and clearly shouldn't have.
Yeah, ever since season 46, I'm constantly curious who is the person who made like people feel the most secure in these types of situations. Um, because we don't get that insight very often. But that's like a very cool thing. Like, oh, this person is the reason that I felt comfortable enough or like felt safe and didn't feel like I really needed to scramble. That's big power in the game if you're able to do that with multiple people. Um,
Who was season
we just don't get to
46?
see it. That
Well,
was
I'm trying
Kenzie.
to think. That's right.
That
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
Kenzie and Hunter. Hunter mentioned like Kenzie's the reason that I felt safe and didn't play my idol. Like straightforward. And I think a couple
Right.
other people kind of echoed that.
I mean, yeah. Was it 5 idols that season that went home in pockets?
5 or 6. 5 or 6. There was like 4 in a row.
I love that season. I
Because
really
for
do.
sure, big spoilers obviously for that season. But there was
Uh-huh.
Gem, Hunter, Q, Venus,
Tiffany.
Tiffany.
That might have been it.
It might have been those 5, yeah.
Yeah. I just like I mean back to
Yeah,
back.
crazy.
Not
Crazy.
not one correct idol play. Or not even a play at
No.
all, right? Like I don't think an idol was
No.
played.
No one played with it at all?
Man, what a good season. I like that season a lot. And now we're on this one where the advantages are just overtaking the votes. It's just so many.
Yeah.
Okay, what else on this Say tribal council? Obviously Joe won immunity. Him and Ava were sitting there with Star, so I don't know. I feel like again, I'm trying to find up something good. It just like like we don't like what does Joe and Ava actually think? Like what's the relationship between Ava and Star? Like these are the questions I have
Mm-hmm.
that were set up, but we have to delay that because there's no point of them talking game, right? Because the vote's so
Yeah.
obvious. So I think that's the disappointing thing because it's like, what is going on with Star? I don't know. She gave away an idol. She's working with Ava now. But to be continued, I guess.
Mm-hmm. She had pretty long confessional. I remember. I don't remember what she said though. I do remember saying Ava had their conversation about kind of clearing the air that seemed like it seemed like it went well for Say. It obviously didn't help in the end, but it seemed like a decent conversation. But that's just me trying
good
to
for
find
them.
something about that
Yeah.
tribe to talk about.
Well, before we get to the other one, should we back up and talk a little bit about the immunity challenge? Because I mentioned Joe won. Obviously,
absolutely.
David beat him just a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, not gonna lie, and I think I said this last week where I'm like, I think I'm on board for this season and maybe this season only of like the big tough people actually powering through. And I'm
Mhm.
like, if it makes for like these competitive individual immunity challenges, I wouldn't be against that. Like
Yeah.
it's not like this one wasn't the most thrilling, but there is something kind of fun of just watching two like big dudes just out manning each other. I don't know.
hmm Yeah. I did think David. I don't think he was trying to come across as cocky. It definitely did, and like obviously this was a 50 whatever minute challenge. Like it happened for a while. We watched it over a span of maybe 8 minutes. But the amount of times that he was like, "I'm set, bro. Like I'm good. Like you should just drop because I'm so good." It made him came across as very cocky, and I was like, "Oh, these big guys cannot get out of their own way." I've never seen them get out of their own way. They always have to get to the first individual immunity or first couple and just dominate and show how strong they are and break the record when everybody in the back of their head is like, these guys both just broke the record. There's no chance we can let them get far enough. Once there's a first opportunity to get them out, they're going to get them out. And so it blows my mind. And then all of his like the Survivor trash talk does not help the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so counter to like any other competition you would be at just in life, right? Because it's like,
Mhm.
and I think that's why it's so fun though, right? Because like the more that you win these things,
Yeah.
it's like it's so balanced in the sense that like winning can be good for your game, but losing could also be good for your game. And
Mhm.
I think that creates this very fascinating balance of like there kind of is a correct way to win, right? You want to win in like I always think like when it's like an underdog that wins an
Yeah.
individual immunity challenge, it doesn't raise their threat level up at all, right? Because it's like, you did it. We're so proud of you, all this stuff. So it's like, it depends on who wins. It depends on how you
Mhm.
win. It depends on your attitude before and after the fact. And so I think you're absolutely right. Like, I don't know. But I think that's what I'm saying. Like, I think this is going to be fun because if it does get heated, like, let's say it's just like the final five and it's just all those people. It's Joe, it's David, it's Kyle, it's Ava.
Mhm.
I don't know who else is up there. Mitch is good at challenges,
Mitch.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
absolutely.
And like it just becomes this like we're just gonna trash talk. Like that'd be kind of interesting, right? And there's like
That is
no
fun.
actual like I don't know. Like
Ava
I
asking if who'd she ask? Kyle if he was gonna pee his pants again? That was dynamite trash talk.
I'm like I would be
So
game,
good.
but again, I don't want Survivor to because like we got the challenge for that, right? Where like the
Mhm.
trash talking is just like encouraged and like rewarded and it doesn't really hurt you that much more than it, but like you're right. I think like Survivor the balance does make it more enjoyable, but except for this season. This is the exception.
Yeah, it looks like it could be a lot of fun, but the fact of the matter, just whoever's left is gonna. Oh, I don't want to say it. Whoever's left out of this, like 4 or 5 very dominant people, are just gonna run off the last like three immunities and win the game, or like at least or get second or something. Like just whoever survives the longest is gonna just dominate from that point on. Because I don't see Chrissy or Mary or Star, and I'm gonna eat these words, or Camilla like winning
It's a
many.
puzzle.
I could see Star. I could see Star. And maybe Camilla with a puzzle, and she's pretty small too, so if it's like a balance thing, maybe. Chrissy and Mary I don't see, but that's just me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think that's where it's like let's say we get Chrissy out next week, maybe Mary the next week. I don't know who else is
The last of her
weaker
tribe,
people.
and there's still what, 10 people left?
Yep.
That's crazy.
But like let's say like we actually get those people out, then I do think it becomes fun because like there's almost no such thing as a challenge threat, right? Like you're picking
Mm-hmm.
hairs on like who has the
Mm-hmm.
bigger muscles. Like, well, he's
Yeah.
stronger, but he's big and he's also fast. Oh, but he's big and so I think like that's the only solution where this doesn't become a boring steamroll is
Mm-hmm.
where they level each other out and then they're forced to actually play the game that they apparently don't want others to play, So
Yeah.
I think there's
Because it's like,
potential
oh,
here.
we need to get when you get David out, but he's won 2 immunities, but then Joe will win the next 2. Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They won't have many options at that point.
No.
And they didn't use a single one of these 3 free votes on one of those guys, which they usually do.
Yeah. One little nitpick about, and I half stole this from a Reddit post, but when it comes to these challenges, specifically this one, because Jeff threw out like, the record that Gabler set, blah 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 blah. It bothers me how incorrect that statement is. That like that is Gabler's record, or that like this is David's record, because they're not trying for a record here. The record that is being set is by the person that came in second, because then
That's true. That's
the person in first will drop. So
Yeah.
to say that Gabler had the record, all that means is his second place person was the strongest of all the other second place people.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the
That's
person
very
who won
interesting.
last year could have lasted hours longer than Gabler. We don't know that. But so I
Mhm.
understand like how it is a record, but the way that Jeff presents it is like Gabler set the record. I'm like, he didn't. And maybe I'm just anti-Gabler, and then this Reddit post kind of fueled me, but I don't know. I just think it's stupid. That's all.
I feel like that's stupid too.
Thanks.
I'm assuming, I don't remember specifically Jeff saying this, but I assume he did. The weight of the buckets would have been based on their body weight, right?
Yes, it was
Okay.
25% of their starting weight.
I saw a bunch of people that were like, "This is so unfair for all these ripped guys." It's like, hey, if like it's based on you. So like, if you're really small, you could dominate these types of competitions. It just happens that the other people are weak, and so they can't do it.
Yeah, no, Jeff definitely explained it, so that's on them.
Mhm.
That's-
Well, I mean, it's the Survivor Facebook group that every week will be like, "Who voted for who?" My TVO cut out, and so I didn't get to see it. And I just want to be like, Google it. Like it's on Wikipedia every single week. They update it immediately.
I'm gonna be honest, I haven't seen that group in a while pop up. I
I see it
apologize to our
constantly.
listeners that I have not been referencing it, because it's so
I had
fun.
the say going spoiled for me because I was just scrolling and saw like a picture of her with the torch, and I was like, "Oh, all right, Say's getting out of here."
You know what? I might have like hid that from my feed because of that, because I always get
Oh, if you watch a little bit late, it's gonna pepper your feed with all of the takes that people are tossing out there.
Yeah. Oh, great. Here's a post. Not a fan of Ava at all. Never a fan of a woman who's so unwilling to work with another woman, ever. Not surprised she gladly joined an alliance with all men. The girls who see themselves as one of the boys is a huge red flag. And if you can imagine, the comments are rough. They're rough. I'm going to have to dig into that one later.
People can be friends with whoever they want to be friends with, dude. I hate
I-
everything.
I think I just need to start commenting more.
Oh, I've never commented. Maybe I should start. Maybe we should get big commenters on it.
I think I could have a lot of fun. Well, do you remember when I used to post fake photos in here, like cast photos?
Yeah, you'd add Rob Gronkowski's face on Jonathan's or something. Be like, I don't remember Rob on this season.
Yeah. Like I posted a picture. This was back in like 2020, I think. Yeah, because it was.
Yeah.
So like I have this fake Facebook account that I don't use anymore, but I used to join groups like that and just post stuff like that. Like I posted, like I joined a Friends fan group, like the show Friends, and I posted a picture of the cast or something. I was like how many times, like, what number rewatch are you on? I just finished my 7th rewatch of the series, like just something that people would say. And then I posted a picture of the cast, except it was in their apartment, and I photoshopped the poster in the background to a poster of Beetlejuice. It's so subtle. And then like everyone's like legitimately commenting on this post like, oh, I just finished my 2nd rewatch, I finished my 10th. And then there's one like, they never had a Beetlejuice poster. But yeah, the Survivor one I did, I posted Mario
So good.
Lopez and Rob Gronkowski on the cast of season 30. and I said
I just
something.
didn't mention it.
No, I posted that photo and I said, "Am I the only one who finds this season underrated?" And then again, same thing, like dozens of comments of like, "I like it too." No, it sucks. Blah blah blah. And so I was like, "Gronk didn't play," and I was just like, "Yes, he did. He's in the photo." Oh man,
What do you mean?
you just
Right
unlocked
there.
something. I forgot about this. I need to get back on my just fake Facebook and go to town.
You need to get back on it, and it'll be my goal to find those and send them to you and be like, "This you?"
It's so easy. Like it is so easy.
Oh yeah, it'll be the first. Like it'll only work once because then I'll remember the name that the Facebook's under. But
It's it's a pretty generic name. I think my profile picture is like the American flag or something. That's great.
so good.
All
Well,
right, so we
wait.
talk about this other
Yeah.
team. Yeah. So this one was made up of David, Camilla, Kyle, Mary, Shaheen, and Cedric. May he rest in peace. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely part of me that thought Shaheen could have gone. Like
Mhm.
they worked it, and I mean, Camilla and Kyle are doing work. Like they told
They're a
David that
problem.
Shaheen had an idol,
Yeah.
and
The
by all
the way
accounts,
they
I think
talked
David still
about
believes it.
too. The way they talked about it is like, yeah, like sowing mistrust. Or I don't remember what specifically they said, but there was like, we just need to mention plant a seed of this distrust. And it was as simple as like, yeah, he showed up late. Like we don't know. We think he might have an idol, and that's so plausible and yeah, it's so good. They're really fun to watch, and I'm excited when they're actually unleashed on the merge to watch them just cook these fools.
I really hope that's the case. I think outside of this, like, let's have this all manly man final, whatever. I think the
Mhm.
two of them running the game would be. I mean, honestly, probably like my best case scenario. Manly men going second, but I want one of
Mhm.
those two things to happen. And if they end up just taking this to the end, what are you laughing at?
I'm just waiting for the star Mitch Shaheen show to just be I don't know. I just pick 3 random ones for them to just run the game and just pick off physical threat after physical threat, and it's just so boring.
Okay, here's the question: what do you think of the people left would be the most boring final tribal? Like the 3 names where it's like, if it's these
most
3 people, you're gonna be disappointed.
most boring or worst? Because those are 2 different conversations.
Oh,
Because I think Chrissy
interesting.
would be most boring, but I think she would be like way too overconfident and kind of get humbled.
So wait, so would that be boring or worst?
That would be worst.
Okay,
Because I think it'd be
But-
entertaining to watch her get just buried.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we'll
think-
say worst. Worst is fine.
David, Chrissy, Mary.
I would put
Those
Chrissy.
are my 3.
I'd say Chrissy and Star.
Okay.
Am I a terrible person if I say Mitch?
No.
Am I a bad?
Well, maybe. How do you mean?
I get. Maybe I'm still thinking boring. Maybe Mary. I throw Mary. I want Mary to cook because I think she's so funny, but I don't think she's gonna win at this point in time.
He's wild. I've never understood somebody's sense of humor less than I understand hers.
What did she say? Oh man, she had a good one this week too, or last week. I forget.
I remember seeing one that I was just like, I just don't understand you as a person, and I don't think I ever will.
Oh,
Like, I've
she
never been
said
this
something
confused.
about Charity last week, where she's like, I'm scared of snakes. I'm not scared of turtles, and Charity's a turtle, or something like that. I was like, oh, that's great.
No, what does that mean?
She's not scared of Charity. She just told you. That's all.
Golly,
There's snakes
I
and
just
turtles,
can't.
and she's not scared of
Can't
one of
do
them.
it. I can't do it. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sure
I mean,
she's lovely in person.
outside of Camilla and Kyle, like that was really the thread. But I like I said earlier, I do think Shaheem's days are numbered. Like, I
Yeah,
think I
I
was
think
sold.
that's the vibe we get, and I can't tell if it's like a real foreshadowing or if it's the beginning of a narrative for him, and I'm hoping it's the beginning of a narrative.
I guess I just don't know like what the next step in that narrative would be, because like the distress is already like there. Like they planted the seed. It is spreading to David, right? And
But David
so
talks to him. He finds out that happened. It would be him getting out
that's
Camilla
true.
and or Kyle. Like if
Yeah,
he found out that happened
mhm.
and got them out.
I suppose so. I just think also like him being the first one of that like grouping to be blindsided would make sense to me as of right now.
Mm.
Now it would also
hmm
make sense like if he did turn it on Kyle, right? I feel like Camilla will probably go farther. Like I don't think she would be the first to go if it was one of those
hmm
three. But I don't know. And again, I
One of
think
what three?
like the three of like Kyle, Camilla, or Shaheen. Like if one of them makes the first move on the other, you know?
I could see Camilla being next. I really could.
Oh, that'd make me
I
sad.
could see going deeper. I could see all the guys being just like, oh, she's a problem, kind of behind Kyle's back, or just Kyle can't do anything about it, and they just get her up out of here. So I think,
Yeah.
I mean, just her ability to survive up to this point, I would be like, she's smart, she's clever, she knows what she's doing. I could see, that happens every once in a while where like it feels like somebody's cooking, like oh they're so good. I think it happened with Thomas a few episodes ago where I felt really good about Thomas, and I was like oh, and Bianca even, and then just suddenly there's an episode and it's like oh they're gone. Somebody decided that they were a threat, and so they're gone.
Mm-hmm. No, I think you could be right.
And that would break my
I'd
heart.
just be
I want
sad.
to do that. I like Camilla.
I mean, I like Thomas and Bianca, so I think that's part of the show, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
He gets sad. Uh, I I do just like kind of have to laugh at just how unfortunate Cedric's exit was, in the fact that like he votes out multiple allies in Kevin and then Justin, right? Like two people he
hmm
was working with, all to protect Say,
hmm
only to have that like he couldn't even try to cash in on that.
hmm
Which I don't really know what the lesson is.
hmm
I want to be like,
hmm
Cedric, you messed up by voting 2 times in a row against people you were working with, but who's to say that would even helped him here, you know? And I think maybe I'm just talking my way back into the twist again that I don't like, but it just feels like he didn't really have an option, you know, at all.
Yeah,
Uh, and I'm trying to find a way where it was his fault, I guess is what I'm saying.
that's fair. That's fair. Cedric's a player that feels like he made a lot of missteps, and so it feels like it can't be just random chance. It feels like he had to have done something to make it happen. Is that what you're kind of saying?
I want that to be the case. I don't know if it's true. The fact that like he
Yep.
went out on simply being on the wrong tribe while making all those mistakes and they don't fully connect, that bothers me. I want them to connect more so I can blame him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying.
That's fair. That's very, very fair.
I don't got much more. What else do we need to talk about? Anything?
No, I got nothing. Did you start watching Australian Survivor?
No, unfortunately.
Okay.
I started watching The Pit. It's really good. So I've been hooked.
I've heard good things.
It's really good. It's been a while since I've been to a show this much. So
It's a Brad Pitt biopic, right?
yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
Okay, sick.
Yep. Specifically about his armpit.
Oh, the
Yeah, it's
Pitt
kind
pit.
of it's an interesting style. Like the POV the entire time is the camera just planted on his armpit, so like you really
That's
get the
sick.
perspective of like what that was like throughout his
Yeah.
career. You know,
How creative.
through the lawsuits and accusations of
Mhm.
the abuse of his children and ex-wife. You know, all that fun stuff. It's great. Well,
Yeah, let's end it.
for more episodes of Not Game All Personal, find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere listen to podcasts. Really, we're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube at NGAP Pod. That's at NGAP Pod. I'm Nathan. This is Tony, and we will see you next week where we can finally merge.
Or maybe in 2 weeks, we'll see. 15 seasons, 2 pals, 1 podcast.